Hello, everyone. This is Linda Peltz. I'm with eXp Realty, and today we are talking with Joel, and he's going to tell you all about his business, and we're going to go from there. Take it away, Joel.
Okay. Hi, Linda. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I've watched a number of your YouTubes, and they're usually very informative. And I'm hoping that I can help with some information today that will be a little
Wonderful.
educational. Yeah, yeah. So I'm in the industrial real estate business, and most people don't know what that means. And what it is, when you drive down the highway, almost in any part of the country, you're going to drive by these buildings that have loading docks. They're very tall buildings, and the biggest ones are occupied by companies like Amazon, where they have their warehouse, their fulfillment centers. The little ones, which are, let's call it 10,000 square feet, maybe to 50,000 square feet, are occupied by all kinds of companies that manufacture and distribute products. Everything in the entire house that you've got comes from some industrial building where it was made, whether it was in China or India or here, and then distributed from somewhere in the US or Canada or Mexico.
Mhm.
My buildings, what I've done, I'm 67 and I've been in the business for 45 years since I was 22. I got into industrial real estate working for a family that owned 80 buildings.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, they were my mentors. They were great. They owned millions of square feet. And they said, "Hey, help us. We need to lease our vacant buildings. We need to manage our buildings and make sure that the grass is mowed and that the roofs don't leak." And I went to work for them and they taught me everything about industrial. And after 10 years of working for this incredibly great family, they refused to adopt me. So I couldn't be a member of the family.
Darn.
Darn. So I got together with three other people and we started our own business. We were doing a lot of brokerage. So industrial brokerage is the same as what you do,
Mhm.
except instead of a homeowner selling a property, a business owner is selling a property or leasing the property. And instead of buyers, we deal instead of residential buyers, we deal with companies that buy buildings or lease buildings. I'll give you an example. One of our buildings is on the Chicago River. We're in Chicago, and all of our 25 buildings that we now own. And by the way, we own them with investors. Every deal has between 20 and 100 investors, and people become limited partners and they put in, say, between $25,000 to maybe 250,000. The average is about 50,000 per
Now, do you
per
only do
person.
that in Chicago, or are you all over the country?
Yes, yes. We used to be in Florida, New York, and Ohio, and I decided that there's enough going on here with the 16,000 industrial buildings in the Chicago area that having to go anywhere else is sort of silly. If
Mhm.
I in Columbus, I went to Columbus and did one deal, and everybody there knew more than I did. So you're a Fresno expert,
Yes.
right? And if you decided you were going to go to Columbus, Ohio, you probably wouldn't know the market
Fish
for
out of water, isn't
years.
that how they say
Right. Yeah,
it?
fish out of water. So I've decided that I can be the most value to my investors and to my family and to tenants if I stick with one place and if I'm an expert there like you are in your market, but just for the industrial business. So I was
Right.
saying one of our tenants, I don't know if you've ever seen in the grocery store Tampico juice. They make
Mhm.
fruit juice. Tampico is an international brand, and they occupy two of our buildings here on the Chicago River where they make the goop. They make the concentrate, uh, which is orange juice concentrate, pineapple juice concentrate, you name the fruit. And
Right. Because they make
so they
several.
got, yeah, yeah, it's very sweet. They're very delicious. And when I go through there, they always give me a bottle of something to take with me, which is really nice of them. And I drink usually the whole pineapple juice bottle. They have little ones and big ones. And then here's another one. We have one tenant. O'Hare Airport is sort of the center of the industrial market in Chicago. We have one tenant that makes medical products that are used in research. And I know this sounds disgusting and sickening, but they make a piece of equipment that when they test monkey brains, when monkeys are being tested so that because they don't cut the tops of people's heads off to test their brains, they use animals and they try to do it in a humane way. But when they put the monkey to sleep and they open up their brain, their skull, they have a little piece of medical equipment in the lab, and the monkey is sitting there, lying there with this equipment that's keeping their head still. That's made in one of our buildings.
Mm.
Um, we had a tenant that was on Shark Tank, and he makes protein bars. And we have a tenant that was on Undercover Boss, and he's got a limo service where he parks cars inside the building.
Ah.
So that's what we do. Our average building cost is about 3 million. And so we do them with zero debt. So we buy all cash, no mortgage. Nobody else in the whole country is dumb enough to do that because leverage in real estate, having a loan, multiplies your return if things go well.
Hmm.
But if they don't go well, having zero debt is much safer.
Yes, much
So
safer.
we try to be the
And the market
safety.
is definitely leans towards, old school. Used to be
Yeah,
people saved for homes, right, up until their 50s and then bought their home.
yeah,
Nowadays, right, all the younger ones are like, oh, no, no, I need my forever home at 25 or 30. And they take out this big loan, right? So it is a very different way that people think about the market now than the way they used to think about it in the residential side. And I assume it's treated
right,
the same way in the
right.
commercial.
When my wife and I bought our house, we borrowed. We bought the house for about 300,000, and we borrowed about 250,000, and we borrowed $50,000 for the down payment from our parents.
Mhm.
And over the years, we've paid down the mortgage. And over the years, we've actually put some additions on the house. So now it's bigger and our mortgage is lower.
And you've
But that's
built your equity in it. And
right.
that's
But
what,
that's
and in the residential part of it, our market has switched from it used to be you would contact the realtor first, right? I want to buy this because you already knew how you were planning on paying for it. Most of them paid cash back in the day. Nowadays, first step is talk to the lender, then the realtor, because I can't do anything for you until you figured out how you're planning on paying for this.
right. And that is one of the things that makes us so unusual. I think
Yes.
the word would be odd because most investors who buy our kind of properties, which are industrial. By the way,
Hmm.
industrial is not the same as retail. Retail are stores and
Right.
malls and strip centers. It's different.
And we have apartment
Industri
buildings. That's a little different. They're
right, and
commercial, but not industrial.
right, and it's also we don't do restaurants and we don't do net leases with auto parts stores or any of that. It's all manufacturing
It's
and
manufacturing, probably
distribution.
a big warehouse type situation is considered your industrial.
Yeah, but there's a lot of little ones. So we do the little ones. We do the ones that they're not as small as a house. Like a house might be 2,500 square feet or 3,000 square feet if it's bigger.
Hmm.
We do acquisitions of buildings that are anywhere between 10,000 square feet and say 50,000. And our average size is 20,000.
And I
And
don't think that's another thing the average person realizes is real estate is broke up into different segments. So I do primarily residential apartment buildings, but things that do with residential. That's my primary business. And I help them keep their equity as best as I can as far as if the home needs updates or needs, sprucing up to where people can just carry their bags in. It's a very different market than your market. Your market is broke up into different segments, like you're saying, into basically size and type of zoning for the buildings. So that's one thing I don't think the average person, and that's why you need us realtors, is because there's different types of real estate.
Yeah, every industrial lease and sale in our market, and there's 16,000 of these buildings. Every one of these leases and sales has a tenant and a landlord broker.
Mm-hmm.
Brokers are in the middle of all of these deals. They need the brokers for information, reconnaissance, advice, and market knowledge. Really, the brokers theoretically, if they work a sub market, which might be just in our market, west of O'Hare in DuPage County, that's one market segment out of about 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so a particular broker might work that segment and nothing else. And in that segment, there might be 5,000 buildings, which will keep that broker very busy.
But
But
that's what
what
makes us experts in our market.
experts, exactly. And that's what we believe is the best thing for our clients is to
Mm-hmm.
have a broker who's super knowledgeable about any particular type of building and location of building. And for 45 years, since I've been doing this that long, I came to the conclusion that being an owner, being a sponsor of syndications is a really good thing to do as I did my brokerage. So that because I, you're in a market where you could buy multifamily and you could buy single family. And if you bought one property a year for 25 years, you'd have 25 properties if you kept them
Right.
long term. And what I've done is I bought 108 of them and I've sold about 83 of them and I still have 25 left. It's a nightmare of property management. I can tell you that. There's always a leaky roof. Whenever it rains, we get calls.
And have
And
you noticed they're always on a holiday
or the weekend.
or a weekend
Oh,
or when
we
you're
had
hanging off of a boat somewhere
yes,
and you have no reception?
we had a sprinkler here when it gets freezing cold in the winter. The pipes that are the fire sprinkler, those pipes, if they get frozen, they explode. And on a Saturday night a few years ago, I got a call that the pipes had exploded in a 20,000 square foot building a half hour from where I live. And my wife and I were watching a movie on Netflix, and I said, we got problems. We have a flood inside of a building and the tenant's unreachable. And as the owner, we have to call the company that's going to come clean it up, like Serve Pro or one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And we had water on the floor that was about ankle deep. And it was the middle of the weekend, and there was nobody available to come clean it up without paying like double or triple in overtime and all that kind of thing. What a disaster. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to manage these things. Luckily, the investors don't have to worry about it. We take care of it for them and we send them quarterly cash flow distributions where they don't have to worry about any property management, any roof leaks, nothing if there's like a sinkhole in the driveway or if the sewer caves in. We've had all those things happen. So we take care of it for them, and I'm dealing with the fact that it's an accounting nightmare and it's a property management nightmare.
Yes.
But we've chosen to do it. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to do
But
it.
that's where your expertise is. And you've
Right.
you've got your systems in place to handle all that. And that's where I don't think I think a lot of general public doesn't understand. So, I mean, especially I think you see it more, on the residential side and the for sale by owners. Oh, I can do that. Well, good luck with that. You just opened yourself to a can of whooping.
I have a funny story for you. So I've got a family that invests with us. They've invested in five of our buildings. And we were having a conversation on the phone with the whole family about our management and what we do. And we charge usually about 4% of the net rent. So on a building where the rent may be 200,000 a year, we're getting $8,000 a year. And that's for an awful lot of work. And
Hmm.
one of the family members said, this is what we pay you for. And I said, I know. They said, well, maybe you're getting paid too much. And I said, oh, okay, okay, okay. I have a deal for you. You manage it, and I'll pay you the $8,000, and you can lose money every single day on managing properties. That's the nightmare of all nightmares. So I'm making you an offer. You do the management. You can do it on all five of the buildings you're an investor in, but I'm going to be a pretty tough owner as with having you as my property manager because my demands are very high the way your demands are high when I'm the property manager.
Right.
And they said, no, 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 we don't want to do that. I said, I didn't think so.
Most people don't. I mean, I own properties and I do have property management over it, and they work hard. Just like I work hard as a realtor in my expertise in my field.
It's
I
a
can only
lot.
imagine on the commercial, on the industrial commercial side, how much
Yeah.
really goes. I mean, that's a lot of real estate as far as size. And then when you have these issues, things just happen, I mean, it's just part of life. But that's where we come in our field and our expertise, and we have our system set up to, okay, we may make it look easy, but most of the average people could not do what we do.
Yeah. Our job is to make it look easy,
And our
but it
job is
isn't.
to make it look easy.
But it
But
isn't.
it doesn't
And
mean that we don't work and are worth every penny of our, the difference too, also, I think in your particular case, you'll get paid monthly. But in my particular case, until I get that deal finalized and closed, I don't see a dime of it. So, okay, I may get a lump sum at the end, but how many months have I put in on working for that? You break that down per month, it's not always that great.
we have the same thing. We do a lot of our own leasing and we occasionally will sell a building. And so we're brokers as well as being owners. And we deal with the same things you do where a
Mhm.
buyer does an inspection and they find something they don't like, or they do a an annual review of what the costs are and they call us and they say, why are these costs so high?
Mhm.
And it's balancing brokerage, leasing, and management, and collecting rent and paying
Mhm.
expenses. And it's all of those things combined. And anybody who owns their own real estate, they get it. I was with a guy over the weekend at a conference in Milwaukee, and he's got 16 units. And he used to be an airline pilot. He flew private airplanes for people who spent $20,000 to fly from here to there. And so that was, he said, you know what I've done is I've built up this portfolio of these 16 apartments. He says, and I hate the management. So I have a property manager and I pay him 6% of the rents that I collect. And thank God he does it because I hate it. I hate it.
And thank goodness they have seen the light and will pay him to do it, because I've seen on the other side where they've tried to self-manage and they're a nightmare to sell, and they haven't followed the laws. They haven't,
Yeah.
increased rents. They're trying to sell this unit with, like, 15-year-old rent prices. Well, I can't get anybody interested because they're going to go in and kick whoever's in there out. I mean, it's just a nightmare trying to sell those properties where they've self-administered property management, because they haven't followed any of the guidelines, they haven't followed any of the laws. And it's usually just, my recommendation is you need to just clear them and let me start fresh, because you've kind of messed this one up as far as getting your full equity out of it. So
Yeah. He
I'm
loves
just proud that they
landscaping.
actually hire people,
Yeah,
property
yeah, me
management.
too. He loves landscaping, so he does all the landscaping for it's all in the Atlanta area, and he actually has a pickup truck and he goes out and he does the landscaping himself, which he loves to do.
Hmm.
It's outdoors and it's exercise. And he said, I was paying the landscaper a fortune for the 16 units. He said, so why should the landscaper be getting a couple $1,000s a month? He says, I'm going to do it. He says, but that's the only thing I do. Everything else I don't do. He says,
Hmm.
with regard to plumbing problems, I don't want to handle it. I don't want to deal with broken hardware and windows that don't close properly in bathrooms. He says, I've got this guy. I'm happy to pay him. And I
Hmm.
think if you look at 16 units, it's about 1,500 a month each for the units. So that's about, I don't know, $230,000 a year in rent. So the 6% that he pays the guy is about $15,000 a year. It is so worth it.
It is. It is so worth
Hmm.
our vendors. I have a full set of licensed contractors that will go in and if they need help, right, cleaning things up or whatever. And the contractors will even allow them to pay them out of escrow so they don't miss the funds and different things. But
Yeah.
our vendors are so worth it. And I don't know any vendor, at least not that work for me or for my clients that gouge them. It is what it is. That's what it took to pay their guys. So if you don't feel that is equitable, then you go do the work. But you know what? Most of them can't do it, or it would have been done already. So it's like,
Yeah.
I just don't
Yeah.
think the full understanding's always there for our general public. They all want it, they all dream of it, but actually the managing of it is very difficult for some of them, and they should probably stay out of it.
Industrial's a little different though, because most of our buildings, the tenant takes care of just about everything. Uh, they do the landscaping, they do the HVAC maintenance. They don't take care of the roofs, but they take care of the parking lot. If there's a pothole, it's their responsibility to fix it. But even with the tenant doing most of it, there's still a ton of work as the
Mhm,
owner that we have to make sure that it's being maintained right, and we have to make sure that they pay the rent on time and all that. So I love the business, but the details are so much better when they're delegated.
mhm.
At my age,
I
at
think that's a good
67,
word, delegated. Delegated to
yes,
the proper vendor that needs to be dealing with it. So,
that's right. I love delegating, and I love delegating, like you said, to someone I trust who does a great job.
yeah.
And and my investors trust that I will pick the right vendors
Well, that's
and
what
that they're going to
they're
do a good
paying you
job.
for for your knowledge, for your systems, for your expertise on whatever comes up. Because we don't always know. I mean, we're sitting here today chit-chatting about what could happen, but you may get a call as soon as we get off here and have to go deal with something that you've never, whatever. It may have been something you've dealt with before, or it may not be something you've dealt with. You just don't know. And you better be ready
It,
to handle it.
in 45 years, I would say I've seen almost everything, but not everything. The one thing that upsets us the most is when the pipe that connects the city water to the building that's buried underneath. It goes from the curb to the building. When those get old and they break, you have an underground gigantic pipe that's leaking,
And
and the
it's
water
usually,
starts.
in your case, under a parking lot. In my particular case, it's usually a front yard.
Yeah,
Trust me,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just did one of those.
That is perhaps the worst thing that happens. Whenever those happen, it's like, oh boy, not this again. So we see a lot of the same things over and over again. The biggest issues are the HVAC, the roof, and the parking lot,
Mhm. Yeah.
almost every time.
I think one of the last apartment buildings we did, they had an underground water leak, and I had to send out a water detection plumber to just figure out where it was coming from. We knew it was there, but it's like, where? Where is it coming from?
You got to dig a trench. You got to dig this, like you
Hmm.
go all the way down 6 feet, and it's got to be wide enough so that it doesn't cave in on the people doing the work. And so
Hmm.
you need a backhoe that digs down
And
there.
it's right in
You
a
know,
parking lot, so their parking lot's gone. They've got to figure
yep,
out where to put all the people until they can figure out where the leak is so that they can fix their parking lot. So no, it's a quite the process. And
yeah.
mine's nothing compared to your industrial building. So
Well, they're similar. They're very similar. So I'm really happy to be in the business, but
I
you
know, I
have to
love
have
it.
the mindset has to be I'm okay with hard work.
Hmm.
That's the mindset.
And I want to be appreciated, not you sit there yelling at me that I'm not worth my money when I just solved, 10 of your problems and you're telling me I'm not worth your money.
That's
Enough.
no fun. Yeah, that's
That's no
exactly.
fun. So yes, I love the business, but I love
Yeah,
it when I think my clients understand and don't sit there and try to tell you how much too much money you're making. Then you probably got your wrong realtor. Go find somebody that's not going to do anything for you and charge you a lot less because you get what you pay for, dude.
you always do. It's
And
always the
so, yes,
case.
it's fun when it goes correctly and where when your clients are very appreciative, definitely makes your day and you feel like you're being an integral part of society and you actually help somebody out. So,
That's right. That's exactly right.
well, you're a hoot, Joel. I really enjoyed it. Why don't you give your contact information? And if anybody is looking for Chicago industrial, this is your guy, man. Let's get a hold of him.
Yeah, we especially love meeting new investors who join us. Usually people come into our deals one at a time, and then they end up in five or six different properties with us, 25, 50, $100,000 investors. And it's
Look at
Brit
that. If
Properties.
they're looking to invest, get a hold of Joel.
Yeah, Brit Properties, BRIT with one T properties.com. And it's an unusual type of thing to have no debt. But when the market crashes one day, and it will, we believe that we will be the last man standing.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you have a phone number? Do you prefer email? You just want to go through
The
your
website is
website?
best. Yeah, everything's on the website. We have a
Nice.
contact us form, and usually someone fills that out, and I'll get back to them right away.
And I'll also include it in the articles and all the information. It was wonderful to meet with you, Joel. Thank you so much
You
for telling
too.
us about your business structure. Super wonderful information. Everybody, this is Realtor Linda Peltz. I'm with eXp Realty. My license number is 01997670. I will catch you on the next one and make sure if you need real estate help here in Fresno or in Chicago, you've got your two guys here. Everybody have a great day.